My name is Kyle O'Neill. I'm from Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I've been teaching now. This is my 5th year, and I am as STEM related as STEM gets. I got that way from middle school, my middle school days really. A teacher who was a father of one of my best friends who, when Amanda and I got married last year in November, he was my best man. We've been friends since 1st grade. His father was my middle school science teacher. And every day, still to this day, even though I have a terrible memory for my age, I remember things that we did in that science class. And I remember him saying, "Here, take this and build something." You know, he would teach us physics. And the next thing you know, the week after we learned the material, we were building bridges and putting weight on it. Whoever could hold up the most weight. He was bringing in renewable technology, solar panels, and he would give them to us and say, "Okay, make something out of this." He would show us how it worked. He would teach it, and then we would build something that was real. It would even be, he loved rockets, and the best day that I remember, and really what sparked me and my interest in becoming a teacher, was the day where I walked into his classroom. I was in 8th grade, and he had a box, and it was labeled rockets, and he said, "Guys, it's the end of the school year. We're going outside, and we're launching rockets." And he made it so much more complex than I ever could imagine, because we didn't just go out and shoot rockets, but we had to measure the wind, measure trajectory, and we had to plot out in 8th grade exactly where every single rocket would fall and land after we shot it off. And it was wonderful. It was beyond amazing. I just grew up with that teaching style, and I grew up with the style of, let's take the real world and stick it right in the classroom. I wrote some things down today, but I'm not a straight speech person. I just like talking. I'm social. At Whippany Park, I run basically what we call the STEM program, and I've been writing grants for the school as well the past couple of years in order to continue building on the STEM program we have and gain more materials. The courses that I teach, I started off teaching freshman biology and junior-senior college prep environmental science. The junior-senior college prep environmental science was literally students who needed a 3rd-year science, who did not want to be in school, who did not like science, who were the kids who just showed up and said, "What am I doing here?" And you know what? Those are my favorite. That challenge that they gave me every day is incredible. And those are my favorite types of students that by the end, when they come back, and they still come back and visit. And last year, I met a couple of them at the diner after it's going back. They were seniors 4 years ago, so they're graduated, they have jobs now, they're in the career field, and they love science. And they remember things that I did with them in the classroom. Not the book material, none of that, but they remember the hands-on projects and the learning that was infused with that. So just to give you an idea with environmental science, a few of the projects that I highlight every year are, in the beginning of the school year, we do a carbon footprint project. The first day of school, we take our class carbon footprint, and we ask ourselves, how do each of us individually affect the environment and compare to everyone else in the world? Each of the students do a project about who they are, and they make a video about their daily life, and they take a few activities, and they take those activities and they infuse them with our environmental science curriculum, talking about how their daily lives affect the environment and what solutions they have to the environment based on what they do. We move on from there, and I do a huge renewable resource and renewable energy unit in which I was aided by my school and through grant writing to be able to receive not only solar panels, solar chargers, solar cubes, which can power televisions, lights, things like that, but also wind turbine building kits, and hydrogen fuel cell car kits. And what I've been able to do is take these kits that give the instructions on how to build things and take the instructions away. And one of my favorite projects every year that I love doing, and my students just, at first they're annoyed by it, but then they're thrilled at the end. I give each student an individual solar panel, and I give them all the cords, all the wires. I show them that it works, I prove to them that it works, and then I tell them, you have to, in the next 2 weeks, figure out how to make a solar car, and it has to move. I don't, at anything like that, that's it. They get the solar panel, the wires, and that's it. At first they look at me and they say, Mr. O'Neill, you're insane. There is not a shot in the dark that I'm going to take this thing that you hooked up to a light bulb and showed me it works, and make a car move, or make anything that works. And then next thing you know, a couple days later, after doing some research, after looking at it, they're, I'm going to take a pizza box, I'm going to cut it up. That's going to be the main part of my car. And then, I'm going to use some of these gears. I have gears and wheels and tires and things like that in the classroom. And we talk about gear ratio, and we talk about all the physics, and we actually work with the physics classes as well, and the physics teacher. We talk about the difference between high torque, low torque engines and motors. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, whether their car's inching along or whether it's cruising, it's fun. And the students, they're amazed. They're amazed not only at the fact that the sun is powering something to move, but they're amazed that they were able to do it, which is fun. And that's the purpose of it. My other class that is just incredible, and it was an interesting story. After my first year of teaching at Whippany Park, my supervisor and principal came up to me and they said, we would like to teach a elective science course at the high school. And they said, we have a list of courses and we'd like you to teach it. And I looked at the list, and there were very interesting topics. And one of them was forensic science, crime scene investigation. Wow. I have no background in forensic science. I never took a forensic science course. I only watch sports on television. I don't even watch the crime shows until more recently. But anyway, back 4 years ago, I started and I wrote the curriculum for a forensic science course. And the course has took off beyond imagination. It's a semester course. I teach anywhere between 25 and 28 students per class per semester, with 2 classes each, so it's over 100 students per year teaching and learning forensic science. And we just started last week what I call my final project, which is, I go a little insane on it, but I love it. I recreate a crime scene at the high school, and faculty members are so involved now in it, they ask me months in advance, can I be the criminal? Can I be a suspect? This year I have 33 faculty members in on it as suspects.
Nobody wants to be the victim?
And then, no. My supervisor of instruction wanted to be the victim this year. And it's wonderful because we create surveillance tapes for them, and we had the whole thing planned out this year. This year was the first live crime that happened during school. Another faculty member ended up stealing my car, which was quite fun. And from teaching them about starting the year with the crime scene, fingerprinting, hair analysis, DNA analysis. We go through handwriting analysis. We go through tire tread mark analysis. We go through visual analysis, observational analysis, eyewitness testimony, and now that victims are involved, we go through the whole process of how to interrogate, interrogations, questioning, writing warrants, and we're lucky enough to, and I'm lucky enough that we have a police officer who works in the school every day who assists them with their search warrants and things like that. It couldn't be any more real. It's incredible, and I mean, I know I started it, but without the help of the school district and the interests of the students in it, it blew my mind how quickly this class just took off.
How do you grade that kind of a class?
Yeah.
They write to two things at the end. They write a crime report. Each group of students, about 4 to 5 students, they write their own crime report where they have to list all their evidence. They have to have photographs of all their evidence. They have to have any actual evidence that they present as well. And then another fortune every year we have, we teach a law class, which is an elective. So I have the law students act as a jury / judge courtroom at the end of the project, and they actually will present their case and be judged by other students and or faculty members who can be there, which is another fortune to me that we have that and I have that opportunity. So that's how I grade them. Which it's you know, the crime report is straightforward, but the rest of it is how I observe them, how much work they're putting into it, things like that. Everything else I do around the school, just more background on me. I coach 3 sports. The varsity assistant for soccer, girls soccer. I coach a middle school and lower school hockey league in the winter, and in the spring right now I'm still the head coach in baseball. We keep playing well, we keep moving on, and we're playing in the semifinals in the state tournament on Tuesday. So a good group of guys. But if anyone has any questions,
what kind of math do they get?
The math?
What kind do they get?
We do, in environmental science, it's a lot of dimensional analysis. So it's a lot of conversion. Conversion between different, either if we're talking about weights or if we're talking about electricity. Basically, we'll talk with the physics class, we'll work with them if they're going to have a higher input or lower input, how to increase it. But the math is not as high in the college prep environmental science. The math gets much higher with the AP class that I teach. The AP class, the AP environmental science, I wouldn't say go into calculus, but it's trigonometry, and that's basically where we go. If you'd like anything more specific, I could show you.
By the time they get to you from the earlier school.
Oh, from earlier?
How much had algebra?
By the time they get to me, they've had Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus. At least. The AP students are mostly seniors, so most of them are in the middle. They're either taking AP Statistics or AP Calculus at the same time.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Gill St. Bernard's, a private school in Peapack Gladstone, my whole entire life. And I went to Drew University for 4 years, right down the street from here. Played baseball 4 years there. I majored at Drew in environmental science with a minor in biology. And at the same time I was at Drew, I went to College of St. Elizabeth at the same time and got a major in teaching with a specialty in biology. And then last year I completed my master's in Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, or STEM, in curriculum writing and design from the University of Concordia. That's my educational background.
Since you came up with a curriculum for kids, have you got anything in mind for people my age about sparking?
Oh yeah.
He's saying I do.
Solar panels.
Definitely. No, 100%.
You ought to consider it.
I could definitely write something, and
Do it in big print.
Big print, yeah. But the material that I use with my students, I can change it, make it applicable to almost any age. This was the first year where Bring Your Child to Work Day was a big thing at Whippany Park, and I had a 4-year-old who was learning about solar cars and was holding the light and powering the car around the classroom, who loved it. And then I have the most tenured and veteran teacher in the school, who's just about 70, and he loves to, he's in my crime scene every year. He loves it, and he's, yeah.
What's his name?
His name's Rich Schwartz.
Okay.
Richard Schwartz.
Because
yeah.
our toy teacher from last year is 70 years old.
Okay, yeah.
And still teaching in Morris Plains.
Okay.
And, you know.
Yeah, no, he...
I didn't know if it could be the way the schools run together. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Morris Plains is down the street from us. Right. They're all close. I mean, Morristown, Morris Plains. Whenever any sporting event versus Morristown Beard, Battle Whippany Road, that's what we call it. All the schools are all so closely knit. Whippany Park is district schools with Hanover Park, so we're sister schools. So a lot of the schools are very closely knit.
Do the students have to have any specific equipment on their own? For example, when I was in school, you had to have your own calculator.
Yes.
Wasn't provided, things of that sort. So what does the school provide the students?
The school provides the student with like for example, with the technology I use, I supply students with microscopes, with the environmental technology like the solar panels, wind turbines. That technology I supply them with. They still need their own calculator. Their calculators these days now are like $250 each, which is absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. Every student has their own calculator. I have a set of calculators in the science department where we can use them if a student forgot it at home, things like that. But still, they need their own calculator, notebooks, pens, pencils. The whole 9 yards is still there.
I still have my abacus.
There we go.
I got my slide ruler.
And,
I have my slide ruler. What?
I think the days of going back to the slide ruler and abacus should come back because students are too wired to their calculator. You know, can you do 17 plus 4? And they're taking their phone out to put in the calculator.
No.
And I'm just like, no.
Are good people then?
Do they have any trouble with number sense? Do you see that with the kids?
Yes.
They have no number sense.
Their number sense is, let me take out a device to do it for me.
Yeah.
Which is tough. And the best course that, in my opinion, gets rid of that is AP Environmental Science. You're not allowed to use a calculator in the exam cell. It's the only exam that you're not allowed to use a calculator. It's the only class where I have to reteach seniors in high school how to do long division. Just to throw it out there.
Right.
Which probably took a whole week of my time doing one problem per day because they learned it in 4th grade or 5th grade. That course really helps with math because it's all mental math or handwritten.
You find they can also not spell.
Spelling is gone. Spelling is gone. If you asked any of my friends in the English department, they quiver in fear and hope for the best because spelling has disappeared.
Handwriting's not taught anymore.
Handwriting is interesting. When we do a whole week of handwriting analysis and forensic science, it's quite interesting. My students still don't understand that. Because they're funny, they'll not write their names on papers, things like that. I know who it is. I know every single student's handwriting. And they're like, how do you know my handwriting? I was like, it's distinguishable. You always dot your I's, or you always don't dot your I's. You put circles, you do. And they're mind blown by it. But no script. Script is gone.
Yeah.
I always write in script. and they look at me like I'm funny. And if it's legible, I'm good. That's what I tell them. If I can read it, we're good. There are a few students who it's illegible. And then the school's last initiative was through more technology with what they have Chromebooks, the laptop computers, and the initiative skyrocketed. The science department at Whippany Park has access to 40 Chromebooks every single day just within the science department, which we can sign out, take, use whenever. We have 2 full computer labs with 30 computers in them each, and then we have 2 full what we call secondary computer labs, which are used for marketing classes, stats class, career and personal finance classes.
How long have you been teaching?
5 years.
You want to come to Bridgewater?
Bridgewater? That'd be close to where I grew up. But I love Whippany Park. I really do. It's another home for me, and it was a good choice for me because I did have other options, and I made the right choice, which is really nice. And now I live in Parsippany on the Denville side, and it's a nice 12-minute drive for me every morning down Parsippany Road.
My granddaughter just graduated from TCNJ. It's one more year for a master's.
For a master's?
Yeah. But anyhow, my commercial to her for a long time has been, when you're my age, there will be no hard copy family records. It's all into the vaporware. That really is the case. I've got photographs from my grandmother from 1900. Mm-hmm. You know, just as good as the day they took them.
Yep. Yeah. Now everything digital. And talking about photographs, that was my huge hobby. And the club that I run at Whippany Park is a film club where we call ourselves the Wildcat Weekly, and we make news feed videos, which is quite fun. The kids basically run it. I supply them with the materials, and I supply them with the cameras because the school doesn't have that. But
what sort of camera? Digital or print?
Digital. Yeah, they don't have their darkroom anymore. The darkrooms are disappearing because of chemical costs, and more so the hazardous costs due to environmental standards paying to get rid of the chemicals. I grew up learning darkroom photography in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. In high school, I learned darkroom photography in 9, 10. And then in college, I was able to take advanced darkroom photography, which was awesome. And I still can do the whole process if you ask me. And I know both digital and non-digital, which I love, and I don't know if I'll ever use it again, but I hope one day. There's still a darkroom every once in a while somewhere you can catch one. But
does the issue of archival properties come up in your evidence class, for example? Stuff like right now, the color printers and things, it fades.
Yep.
You know, the deterioration of recording material deteriorates. Is that talked at all about?
We discuss evidence deterioration over time. We discuss it. I don't really go into large detail about it. We discuss the fact that with digital age evidence, it's much easier to both delete it and or be erased permanently and copy it and spread it very easily. And I go a little bit into old cold cases that have had like black and white photography pictures part of it, or handwriting samples that over time the paper faded or the pictures have faded. And we talk more so about the technological side of improving those pictures and or recreating or re-imaging those pictures if we were to use them again. But we actually don't do it in class. We discuss it and talk about it as part of the curriculum. Yes, go ahead.
Do you ever find time to sleep?
Me? I mean, my wife will tell you. fall asleep very quickly. I get home at 6:30, 7 o'clock after baseball, and then Jeopardy's on. We eat dinner. I watch the Yankees or Mets or any baseball game I can because I'm obsessed with baseball. And by 9:30, I'm out like a light. And then next morning at 5 o'clock, I'm up like a light, and that's it. And that's just who I am. But if anybody does,
she put up with you?
if anybody does have any more questions, I love answering anything, and I do want to thank everyone today for letting me speak and inviting me here and presenting me with this wonderful award. And I'm absolutely honored, as I said in the beginning, and I thank you very much.
Cheers.